Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, we've got another Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 build video for you. And today, we are going to be talking about one that I like to call the Theurge Gish. I call it that because it's a Theurge and a Gish. It's both. And it was really hard to pull off. Let's be real. So basically, this build, it is a Theurge build. You get both arcane and divine casting. 9th level spells for both. Your caster level is in the end going to, you'll have an arcane caster level of 20 and a divine caster level of 17. Pretty impressive. Now, actually, I think it's 18 now that I think about it. But yeah, it is going to be a little bit of an issue because those caster levels are including practice casters, so you're not going to be able to get them up quite to level 20 on both. But it's pretty close, and it's a Gish build because in addition to having all that casting, you have a 16 base attack bonus by 20th level. Like, that's some serious stuff. So let's talk about how, so I didn't come up with this alone. Me and my friend worked together on this for a few hours. So let's talk about how we went about building this. There's a few ways you can do it. Probably the best way to do it would be to take a level of fighter first. Then you take about 4 levels of bard. And when I say about, I mean exactly. This is a very hyper-specific build. So you would take 4 levels of 1 level of fighter, then 4 levels of bard. Now the fighter, that can be fudged a little bit, but there's only so much you can do with it. Then after those 4 levels of bard, you take a single level of druid, at which point you then take 1 level of spell sword. Now this 1 level of spell sword, it will require, one reason why you need a fighter for that is in order to get the proficiencies that are needed for that. If you don't take fighter, it's going to be harder to take that level of spell sword, and it's very important you do take that. Then after that, you're going to want to take, I believe, 2 levels of abjurant champion. Then once you've taken those 2 levels of abjurant champion, so at this point you've taken 1 level of fighter, 4 levels of bard, a level of spell sword, and then on top of that you've also taken your 2 levels of abjurant champion. So you've got 8 levels under your belt at this point. So now that you've done that, you're gonna want to take a few of your classes that you need to get going. Let me look this up for real quick, actually, because it has been a hot minute since I've seen this. So, yes. So then you would want to take, so after 1 level of fighter, 4 levels of bard, 1 level of druid, and 1 level of spell sword, 5, 6, 8. I think I was off a level. I forgot to count druid. So yeah, 1 level of fighter, 4 of bard, 1 of spell sword, which brings you to 6, and 2. Wait, so 1 fighter, 4 bard, 1 druid, 1 spell sword, 2 abjurant champion. Okay, that takes you to 9. All right. Somehow I got my counting off. Weird. Like I say, this is a very hyper-specific build. So after that, then you take a single level of Ur-Priest. 1 level, just 1. Then, once you've taken that level of Ur-Priest, might be able to see where I'm going with this. Because Ur-Priest gets all sorts of crazy casting. Then, immediately after that, you take a single level of Sublime Chord. So now you're level 11. Then you take 9 levels of of Faucon Lorist. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a really weird name to say. But you take 9 levels of it, which that will advance your and you use that to advance your casting for both Ur-Priest and Sublime Chord, which will get you up to 10th level casting for both, which gets you 9th level spells. So yeah, pretty crazy. On top of that, because of all the weird stuff we're doing, some of the things that are happening here. So those 2 levels of Abjuran Champion and that level of Spell Sword, that's going to be going towards, you know, your Bard casting to progress that. Do you actually need to progress Bard casting? Yes and no. Getting that to 7th level is kind of important in order to qualify for Sublime Chord. There's other ways to do it, but that's definitely the way. That's definitely not a bad way, especially with this build, because it's going to get you uh, uh, all those levels of Bard casting progression will help with your caster levels for Sublime Chord, plus all of this accounts with your caster level for Urpriest. So pretty big. Now that 1 level of Druid, really that was just in order to qualify for Focon Lorist or Focon Lyrist, because you need to be able to speak Druidic, which is something that's pretty hard to get without at least 1 level of Druid. So you will be losing basically everything from Druid, but you get to keep the language, which is all you need for it. Of course, getting evasion, you'd have to use something like either a ring of evasion or I believe there's a way to get like some grafts in order to gain evasion. Now, even if you were to do this, you still end up with it not always working. Like if you lose that ring, suddenly you lose a lot of the build. But hey, that just don't lose your ring of evasion. Inside an anti-magic field where that gets oppressed, you're going to lose a lot of the benefits. But again, not a huge issue because, well, you're going to lose a lot of the benefits of this anyways in an anti-magic field because you can't cast in an anti-magic field. So, okay, you lost all your spell casting because of it. You lose that anyways. So you double lose it, which doesn't really matter at all. So yeah, pretty solid. Yeah, so if you want a high base attack bonus, you want those 4 iterative attacks, and you want to be able to cast those 9th level spells for both Arcane and Divine. So be able to cast just like a Cleric, as well as like a Wizard, or also like a Bard, because Sublime Chord's actually really good and lets you do both. So yeah, very solid. Like one of the best builds I've ever seen, to be honest. This thing's kind of crazy. Now you're not going to be able to cast, you're not going to be able to wear armor, but that's fine. Yeah. Now going epic. Personally, I'd recommend finishing off that level of Focon Lyrist. You can also finish it off with. You can also, use things like that you would qualify for. Like you should still be able to qualify for Arcane Hierophant. That should still be something you qualify for because of your level of Druid. And that would, again, of course, progress both, which keeps your caster level up. Then on top of that, there's the Mystic Theurge. That would also work pretty well for just keeping your caster level up, which is kind of important. So you could get pretty far into Epic before you'd even have to start to worry about your caster level falling. And even at that point, I would just go with prestige classes that buff your arcane caster level, because it'll fully buff your Sublime Chord and half buff your Urpriest level. So it's really the best way to do it. Something that buffs your Urpriest level isn't going to give as much. Now, there is some cheese with this too. Like I did mention that you'd be at, I think it's actually 18th level. I think I did the math a little off, but anyways, so yeah, for your caster level for Urpriest. Now, is it really 18th? It really depends on whether you count all your Theurge classes, like your Faucon Lyrist, if you count that as just one advancement for War Priest, or if you say, well, it counts for one because it's advancing War Priest, but it's also advancing an arcane class, so therefore it also will buff it an extra half. That's an argument that can definitely be made, at which point you can go way, way deeper into Epic before you have to start losing caster level, because War Priest is going to be crazy, crazy high caster level. Even if the DM just says, hey, it's going to be capped at your actual caster level, or if they don't, well, now you have a ridiculously high caster level on an ridiculous divine caster level once you get high levels. So really depends on how your DM rules on that one. Personally, I wouldn't double count it, but it's kind of up in the air. It's a bit of a gray area. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this Theurge Gish. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Honestly, I think it's one of the most powerful builds I've seen. It is hyper-specific. Oh, there are other ways to do it. So if you really wanted to, this does require evil. Generally neutral evil, although you could do it with chaotic evil as well. So if you're going chaotic evil, you could always do the Paladin of Tyranny instead of fighter. That'll get you the weapon and armor proficiencies you need. So that one's not so bad. Another weird way you can do it is, instead of taking that level of fighter at first level, you could start with Bard, then go Druid, and then actually take a level of Mind Spy. It works whether or not you want the abilities of a first level Mind Spy on that build or not. Now you'd have to spend an extra feat, and it's a feat heavy build to get heavy armor proficiency, but it work. And you get some extra telepathy stuff. There might be some other prestige classes as well. I only flipped through the Complete Warrior looking for prestige classes that might be able to fit on that. Anyways, that's all I got to say. I already said that, but yeah, leave a comment below. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel for more D&D 3.5 content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you.